Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, today I'm going to be talking about who can actually be successful doing these apps. So, if you guys enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. But, anyways, so the short answer is basically who can really be successful doing these apps? I believe everybody can be successful doing these apps. Like I said before, you don't need some special type of skill. You don't need to go to school for this. Like, you need to be friendly and have good customer service. But you don't need, a degree. You don't need to put in so much, basically buy courses or buy things like that for the most part. And you have to be able to retain knowledge and be able to just learn too. Like, if you're stuck in your ways, you're never going to be successful when it comes to these apps, only because they change so much. So you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to be just be very flexible. You can't be just kind of, okay, my limit is $5. Like, that's the only thing I'm taking no matter what. But if your market doesn't allow that, then you can't take that much, or you can't take that low. And yeah, and if you have a more lucrative market, then you might be setting your bar too low. If you're in a big market like I am, you might be like, oh yeah, I'm not taking anything under $6 at all times. So if you get a $6 order during dinner time, you might take it, and $6 is fine. But you gotta remember, you're gonna be in the traffic. Traffic is hectic in Los Angeles. Like, it's super crazy, and if you're lucky, you might be able to do 3 orders if you're lucky, but most likely you're gonna do 2. So if you do that 6 times 2, that's only $12 an hour, and that's definitely not enough. You can go work a W-2 for that, a part time. Like, that's not a smart thing to do in a lucrative market, though. That's only if you're in a big market. That's not for everybody, because other places you might have to take that, or that might be the highest you can get, or that might be an average where you're happy with that. But you just have to be very knowledgeable. You have to be able to adjust on the fly too, because all these apps change all the time. But you need to have a really big drive when it comes to being successful and thinking and knowing that you're an independent contractor slash business person. You need to really get that in your head. Like, you're not an employee. You're not gonna do employee things. If you have that mentality, like I said, a W-2 would be better because your pay would be stable. Over here, it's not stable, so you have to be very, very motivated or committed to whatever your daily goal is, or what your per hour goal is, which can be different, and it depends on your daily. But for the most part, I think you should definitely have the drive to do it, or else it can really drag you down. Like, these apps aren't the easiest, only because you get so many low offers that it can kind of be like, oh my god, like, I'm never gonna get anything, or it's taking too long for me to do an order, like, I'm wasting so much time. So a lot of discipline is, it can be hard to have discipline when it comes to that, because after a certain point, let's say you're waiting 10 minutes but you keep getting low offers, so you're just gonna be like, damn, like, the next one I'm just gonna take because it's just taking way too long, like, and if I don't take this, maybe they're not gonna give me anything anymore, which can happen, but for the most part it won't. But that's why it's good to multi-app too. That's why multi-apping is really nice, because at that point you're not just relying on one thing or one source of income. You'll rely on 2 of them. So if one of them's giving you really low offers, and then on the next app they might give you a high offer, you're gonna definitely take that, and you're gonna reject, or you're gonna pause whichever one you're not doing at that time. But and then the next thing you need to do to be successful is you need to work smart and not too hard. So that doesn't mean that you can just be like, oh yeah, my minimum's this and that. That's it. But you have to be able to know your market, like I said. Like, with my market, I have a bigger market than most people do. So I know what my minimum's gonna be. I know what I'll drive for that minimum, how many miles, and etc. and all that. But everybody has to find out what they'll drive for what certain amount of money. And you gotta remember what place you're in and the dead miles. So that's when it comes to, you have to work smart and not too hard. Because any of us can really do, let's say you're getting a $10 order for 10 miles. You might be thinking, yeah, that's $1, a mile. I'm going to definitely take that. But you have to remember, where are you delivering to? Is there going to be restaurants at that place? Is it a dead zone? Are you going to have dead miles coming back? Do you have to come back? So it all depends on that. And that's the beauty about DoorDash and Grubhub. You do know where the customer is. So it gives you an advantage to, kind of see, where, if you know your area, you're going to be able to see what's worth it or not. So I know my area pretty well now from experimenting and just working it for a while now. So I'll know what I can take or where I can take it to. But like I said, you can't work too hard. Like, that's the thing about it. If you work too hard, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to be like, man, this is dragging. Like, I'm working these many hours and I'm making this much money and all that. It can be very overwhelming when it comes to mental health. Like, don't burn yourself out. You have to work smart with these apps, and you have to make sure in all you're going to make more money than what you're driving when it comes to total miles, in my opinion. Like I said, everywhere else can be different, but in California, gas prices are so high that you definitely need to make at least more than $1 per mile at the end of the day. And then the other thing is you need to have a business state of mind. So for most people, this can be very hard only because you're either never been a business owner or you've always had a W-2. So your mentality can be a little bit different from actually like freelancers or independent contractors or people that have had experience with this type of job. So that can be a little bit hard because you kind of have to change the mentality that you've been trained to be. Like, with a regular job, you're there from this time to this time, you know what you're going to do. Even if you don't like doing it, you're going to do it. But with these apps, it can fluctuate when it comes to earnings, where you're going. Sometimes you might not even know where you're going, or if you're exploring, if you're in a new market, you might be experimenting, how far am I going to go? Like, how is traffic here? How is traffic there? And then at the bottom line, you need to know your bottom line like all the rest of the apps know their bottom line. Because no matter what, they know what they want to make or how many customers they want when it comes to these businesses. So you need to make sure you know what you want to make, for however many hours you work or the day that you work. Like, you just have to have a really, you have to change your mentality if you haven't been an independent contractor or a freelancer, because it can be tough. Because sometimes you might feel like you need to take everything when it comes to these apps, and you might be taking lowball offers. At the end of the day, you might think, man, like, I didn't even make as much as I do at my part-time job or another part-time job, or I make the same amount that I do in a part-time job, but now I have to pay for my gas, for my maintenance, and all that type of stuff. So you just have to change your mentality. You can't think of, I work for this company and, I got to do this. You kind of have to be on your own. You have to think about yourself first. That's the most important thing. Always think about yourself first, because the companies will think about themselves first and then you. And that's why base pay is so low, in my opinion. And the last thing that you really need to do to be successful in these apps, you need to know what you think you're worth in your market and set daily goals and weekly goals. So, like I said, in every market it's going to be different, because some markets are more lucrative than others and some are very small. And then you need to know which app you're going to work to, or which app is really busy in your market. But once you know your worth, or what you think is your worth, that's when you can really start just exploring everything else. That's when you can start setting your daily goal, your weekly goals, or maybe in your mind you might be saying, okay, I'm going to do these many deliveries and I want to make this amount of money. So you just kind of, like I said, you have to research your market. You have to work your market for a few weeks at least to know what you're going to take or what's not worth it. Or if you have to go to another market or another city where it'll be more beneficial or you make more money. Because where I live, I used to do it here, but it was lower than what I make at the other market. So it just made way more sense, because I'm making about $6 or $7 more on the other market than where I was, when I was back home. I might have to drive 11 to 10 miles, but it's definitely worth it per hour. Because if I'm working 30 hours, I'm making 180 to 210 more each week, and I'm not going to spend all that money on just gas. I'm going to probably spend, well, for me it'd be electricity. I would only be spending maybe about maybe like $10, if that. So you have to know that, and you have to set a daily goal is good. So if you know you're only going to work dinner time one day, be like, okay, for dinner I want to make, like hypothetically, I want to make $40 in 3 hours. So set your goal, and you have to be able to accomplish it. So at that point, you'll know what's worth taking, if it's a $6 orders or $7 orders or 10, 5, 4, whatever it is. But the daily goal is really nice, and then the weekly goal is the main goal, because if you're working 4 to 5 days and you're like, okay, I need to make, let's say hypothetically, 404 days. So on average, you're gonna have to make at least 100 a day. If you have a really good day, then you can lower your daily goals from your other days. So it's good to have goals when it comes to that, because then you know what you're going to be able to achieve, or you want to achieve. And then it's nice to feel accomplished when you do these things, because it just feels nice sometimes, like, to be like, damn, I was able to do this. Like, I can do it. Like, it kind of keeps you motivated too. And you'll have more of a drive to keep doing the app for the money, for whatever, you're using the app for, maintenance, taxes, gas, paying bills, whatever the situation is. But yeah, guys, so that's what I think. You can be successful doing these apps. Like I said, everybody can be successful. But anyways, I hope you guys like the video.